The only thing that I could remember
Exaltado,
was that
perhaps?
the word for embarrassed and pregnant were very similar to each other.
Nice. Embarazada. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty funny.
Right.
All right. Well, we are loaded into Beckett Industries to start us off of any map. This is the one where Erik might have a chance if he does something crazy enough, maybe. In the top right-hand side for Cranky Ducklings in the grand finals of Latin America do Brasil, it's Erik.
And his opponent down here in the bottom left-hand side of the map from Storm Gaming, formerly of Exxon. He is the Red Terran player SpeCial.
Gosh.
And by the way, Paulo, I heard you and Nate talking about the Cranky Ducklings team and all that stuff. Did you know origin for the Cranky Ducklings stream? So it was actually a community team that was based around, it was not even necessarily just community team, it was actually just community based around formerly Axiom's Crank. Now Team Liquid Crank, actually.
Very cool.
Yeah, basically a team around like that community. They started running their own events and started doing a lot of other stuff, being just generally involved in StarCraft. And then they decided to pick up some wonderful players like Erik, who have been very active in their events.
That is so great. And yeah, Cranky Ducklings have been around for a while and putting on a lot of events and contributing to the scene. So yeah, that's great to see. And thank you for that piece of history, Ravi.
Yeah, and shout out to some of the wonderful Cranky Ducklings folks who actually are very active on things like Liquipedia and do the very thankless and, completely unpaid work of updating all of our wonderful Liquipedia brackets. I know a lot of us take it for granted, but yeah, actually, many of the members of Liquipedia also part of the Cranky Ducklings.
The real heroes. All right. Well, I was saying Erik might have a chance in this map, and I'm sure some people would have been like, whoa, isn't this a Terran map? Well, that depends on who is the aggressor first.
Yeah.
And it seems like Erik didn't really take that into account in his strategy, so he's kind of giving a lot of space to SpeCial. However, his 15 hatchery is somewhat going to pay off as he gets away with not making any circlings in his Reaper defense. Sure, he has to morph a couple of drones into a spore and a gas, but not making any circlings. I mean, he could afford to lose 2 drones and still be fine.
Yeah, the only 2 Zerglings he made were just across the map trying to delay that command center, but that's definitely not going to help out a lot with the defense over here against the Reaper. But the Queen doing an okay job up until it gets knocked even further back off of creep. The Reaper comes in, scouts the Roach Warren, and SpeCial's gonna have a lot of time to prepare now.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit rough for Erik, but he now starts droning back up. So it's a very cool transition here because he's gonna give SpeCial the impression that he wants to potentially all in. He's made up to 5 roaches. Don't use any drones though, if possible. And SpeCial also sees the next set of drones pop out. So he might be able to take from that there isn't a complete all in. And the Cyclone is really nice. And if it had been a complete all-in, Ravi, it might have just worked because SpeCial was going for a 3CC opening.
Yeah, honestly, it's a little bit unfortunate because now SpeCial is operating in complete control and complete understanding of exactly what Erik is up to right now. A few Ravagers are probably going to be morphed in over here just to harass down that bunker. At a minimum, you can force some SCVs to be pulled off the line, but the Cyclone is going to complicate things because if you stick around for too long, then that Cyclone's going to start locking onto your units and you're gradually just going to be bleeding out roaches. Ravagers already fallen. A couple of the roaches have fallen in exchange for what? 3 SCVs and maybe a Marine or 2?
It's just not good enough. Yeah, it's looking really rough. The roaches are now going to try to suicide onto one single Marine because they know that they will otherwise get chased and kited, oddly kited towards their base by a Cyclone. So it's looking really, really rough for Erik. He is leading a few workers, but SpeCial with triple orbital command, I mean, his economy is about to get out of control and he's having a bunch of production as well. So yeah, things look pretty difficult for Erik from here on out.
Yeah, I think we did kind of gloss over this point, but I do want to bring it up because it is very, very important. SpeCial is coming in from the winners bracket. What that means is that SpeCial has not dropped a map in the playoffs. Or sorry, not a map. He hasn't dropped a series in the playoffs. He never got eliminated, knocked down to the lower bracket like all of the other players did, including Erik. So the reward for that, getting all the way to the grand finals in that state with this particular format, is that you start up the grand finals up 1-0 in this best of 7. So effectively, SpeCial already has that 1-0 lead. That's why there is a 1-0 lead already. SpeCial might be losing this cyclone over here. Nice control and nice little pick off there for Erik. But I just want to mention that Erik, every single map that he loses is an even bigger deal because he already started down this series 1-0.
Yeah, and SpeCial's not taking any chances. I mean, we saw Kalasor fall to aggression a lot of the time. SpeCial is not even getting upgrades this game. He's just going for a very strong army comp. By the time all 3 of his barracks come into fruition, as well as the starport that's already gotten 2 medevacs out, I imagine he'd want to wait for a couple more medevacs, and then it's going to be go time for him, and it's going to be a huge attack. But look at that. I mean, 3 bunkers. If this is how he's planning to play the series, he must be awfully confident in his ability to go later into the game.
Which, I mean, with good reason. SpeCial actually is well known for having a long history of having super solid macro. He's not actually just one of those players that wins all of his games off of really, really nicely done timing pushes or big attacks or all-ins. He's a macro player at his heart. So I actually really like the decision. I think it's well suited for the kind of position he's in, and he's going to continue to try and poke forward with some of these Marines, which will only reveal even more information, including just an idea of where Erik's worker count is, where his army count is, and just seeing and probing to find any kind of damage he can.
Yes, indeed. We'll see if he's able to find anything, though I think at the end of the day, he's going to be pretty happy just waiting. Now he has started his own +1 as well, so that might be a good thing to wait for. And definitely don't overcommit against those roaches. Now he knows that Erik is committing for those roaches himself. So maybe on the side of SpeCial, make a few more tanks, add some Marauders, as we see now Marauders being added as well. And yeah, consolidate a big army. Don't even need to move out at this point, right? Like, you can just take a 4th if you want.
Yeah, I think there's one thing that I don't mind as much, which is having like the Marines and the medevacs kind of poking around, just because if you're up against a pure roach army with just a few queens kind of supporting, there's not really a lot of threat to your medevacs, right? It's just the slow queen DPS. So I don't mind that. And I don't mind things like this where, yeah, it's all units that can just load up into the medevacs.
Yeah, as long as you have enough medevacs to load up your units, then it should be a very low risk play. I like that he's clearing creep. I think that he would benefit from scouting both of the outer bases and see if he can pick those off, but instead he's gonna go in. And I mean, Erik is morphing. A lot of those Ravagers are not able to come into the fight right away. Dodging the vials is SpeCial, so a really nice move there.
Loses about a medevac and a half, I think, worth of units roughly, but snags a lot of units in exchange. And yeah, again, he sees that, oh no, there's actually a lot of units right here. I can pick up to my medevacs and escape on out. Now, both these players finishing up their 1-1 upgrades right before Erik arrives at the front doorstep over here of SpeCial, but SpeCial needs some time to unload. Now he's going to start to take the engagement over here. Has to dodge out of the way of the corrosive vials. And there's no tanks or anything to support this army. It's just the bio, but without the roach support, the Ravagers are just going to start caving in so fast.
Yeah, and I mean, there's 3 tanks on the high ground as well, so there was never really any chance for Erik to make this attack work. Maybe besides, I don't even know. Yeah, even the bio was enough, right? So yeah, there was just no chance for him. And all of these Ravagers are going to get picked off as well. Oh, 2 medevacs go down. A little bit of a blunder on the side of SpeCial. But Erik's going to need a lot more of those.
Yeah, I mean, I guess take what you can, right, in this kind of situation. A roach player, a pure roach player, there's nothing on the army supply for Erik besides roaches, and he's still down in supply. Oh, Paulo, I'm not feeling good about that.
I am not feeling good about it either. The siege, however, is a little bit late, but the roaches are going to be able to retreat through those speed zones. Lucky for them, and nice concave for Erik, but he is just outgunned here, it feels like, at least. Good vials will get rid of one of those tanks, but one in the back is still shooting, and now the second one coming into effect as well as the roaches moving a little bit closer to SpeCial's forces. SpeCial is gonna clean up the Ravagers as well, so that's really nice trade-offs, and it looks like he might just be able to close out the game here as SpeCial takes a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, well done there by SpeCial. Very clearly showing a very strong ability to scout and react to exactly what that opening was, and then from there it just looked like he was firmly in control the whole game. I think this is also, it's something that's kind of obvious. I think a lot of people already sort of know this at some degree, but just the actual numbers on it is that Ravagers are very vulnerable, actually. If you take out that Roach buffer, which I felt like just kept happening, where Special would find these opportunities to just make his way through just enough of the Roaches and then start stutter stepping forward very aggressively, taking out a lot of the Ravagers. Ravagers have fewer hit points than the Roaches, but they do damage faster. They have a faster attack speed. So as soon as you could start doing that and you stop disabling them from doing corrosive bowels on your siege tanks and everything, it's like the heart of the army there for Erik just starts disappearing, and it suddenly doesn't have any value anymore. He kind of already lost all of his Ravagers multiple times, and I don't think you can really afford to do that in that situation.
Yeah, the Ravagers also, I believe, have one less armor, and they cost twice as much. So you know, when you get to pounce on those Ravagers, they're just really juicy to kill, because each Ravager death is essentially worth the equivalent of 2 Roaches, and they are easier to kill. So yeah, it's really a rough one. Once that Roach frontline is gone, like you were pointing out, it kind of tends to fall apart. But regardless, I mean, more and more, I'm becoming a fan of the opening of Erik with that awkward 15 hatchery off of the gas, because he gets away with making just 2 links or no links and getting the queen a little bit earlier, right? Like, which is kind of cool against the first Reaper. So we'll see if he does that on this map as well. I imagine that he will. Unlucky for him, the last map, I mean, that's so small that even with that trickery, the queen is not out in time. He has to, you know, juggle around a couple of drones to the Reaper, and the Reaper gets a full scout onto the Roach Runner right away. So I don't know if Erik was planning on some sort of all-in. I don't think so, because he never went for that link speed, at least not for the first wave of the attack. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what he was hoping for. Maybe just a little bit of an unscouted Roach poke where there isn't a bunker could have netted him a huge advantage. But other than that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a really tough position. And Paulo, this is where I bring it back to that 1-0 lead that Special starts with from just coming in from the winners bracket into the grand finals. Now Special's gonna have a 2-0 lead, and in a best of 7, yes, you technically do have another game to play around with, but the leash is very short, and you kind of want to think, oh yes, you have one extra game you could potentially lose, but you effectively already have to win a bunch of games in a row against an opponent that is already able to have won that first game. This is a really, really tough spot. I hope that Erik can rally. I hope that Erik can bust a move here in game number 2.
I hope so as well, but he's gonna have tall mountain to climb here in the top right-hand side of Juggernaut. It is Special. Juggernaut.
There you go. Yeah. Nice. Down here on the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have the blue Zerg player from the Cranky Ducklings is Erik.
I was wrong, by the way. They don't have an extra armor. Just check on Wikipedia. It's just the hit points. 25 hit point difference.
Okay.
So they're still considerably easier to kill. But yeah, no extra armor.
Yeah. That's funny, though, because versus Protoss, they're actually harder to kill in some ways. Even though they have fewer hit points, the fact that they don't have the armored tag means your Immortals and your Stalkers are doing less damage to them. It's, yeah. But versus Terran, assuming that there aren't a crazy number of Marauders, I'm totally with you. I think they are definitely still easier to kill.
Yeah, most certainly. Yeah, so, I mean, it's a significant difference in hit points. So it would definitely help. And again, the cost, I mean, it just feels so much better to kill a Ravager than it does to kill a Roach.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Well, we are going to see yet another one of these similar kind of openings from Erik. Again, I'm interested to see if he decides to do anything else cheeky. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, Paulo. My memory's a little bit fuzzy. It's been a long day of StarCraft.
Very
but
long day.
Was this the map that we saw Erik going for the proxy hatch against Kelazur, or am I misremembering?
I think this was it. Was it?
Yeah, I think
it was.
He proxied
Neil,
right
was
there.
it? Neil, was it here? Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah.
Neil, can you nod at us if it was? Was this the map with the proxy hatch?
Can you nod up and down?
Up and down if you, or, oh, that works, I guess. That's.
Oh yeah.
What? No, he's saying no.
That's no.
Right?
Yeah, he's shaking left and right.
Okay.
Wait, what would up and down? What would yes look like? Ah,
That's
okay,
a yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
I will assume it's a no then, but yeah, it's just one of those kind of cute strategies that maybe he can think about pulling out if he finds the right opportunity. But yeah, it's still a tough call when to bust something like that out.
Yeah. Can you believe that we woke up like 10 hours ago or something like that, Ravi? It really has been
I
a
woke
long...
up 13 hours ago.
Jesus.
I worked out before the broadcast.
Really?
4
That's
a.m.
amazing. Big props. What did you do, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, actually, a lot of people don't know this. I do martial arts and stuff, and it's a nice COVID-friendly thing to do because you can just do it in your tiny San Francisco apartment without any equipment.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So do you pop a video that you follow, or do you just do it from memory?
I've been doing it for like, I don't know, something close to, I guess now it's been what, 11 years, 20 years?
Nice snipe.
Something like that.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
Yeah. We got another relatively fast roach warren. It's obviously not as fast as that last game or anything, but we do see Erik still kind of thinking about he's going to be going into maybe a bit more of a roach-based composition, whereas SpeCial has already invested in that pretty fast third CC that I believe the Overlord has not actually scouted just yet.
Yeah, this roach warren is actually a little bit awkward for my taste. There is going to be some drones in production. If he doesn't make anything from the roach warren, I'll actually kind of like it, because then if there was a hellbat attack or something like that, that would be a decent gamble to just have roaches at the ready to be made if he sees enough or has a tell for it. But otherwise, I mean, if he starts making roaches right now, he's just going to invest more into defense that he needs to invest, plus the cost of the roach warren, which is an additional 200 resources, including the drone. So this is a nice poke, however, with the links, and there's actually 6 roaches in production.
Whoa, he gets us around to one of the Hellions. The other Hellion, I think, actually also taking quite a bit of damage, but it does get cleaned up thanks to the help of the Marines. But look at that. Actually, all the Hellions end up pulling back. That actually, Paulo, that's actually not necessarily a good thing, because now the roaches really don't have any value. They're not even pushing back the Hellions.
Yeah, but this is a committed attack from the roaches.
Yeah.
He did take 2 additional gases, Erik, that is, so he's going to be pushing out with this roaches and trying to kill SpeCial. But SpeCial is mega ready, right? Like, he has 3 bunkers on the way, he has a Banshee, and he's getting Cloak in case there was something like that Queen push that we saw attempted against Kelesur. So now Ravagers are going to be helpful here to try and bust down a potential 1 bunker at the front. Unlucky for Erik, he's going to have to get rid of 3 of those.
Oh. I want to say bold move Cotton with the third CC, but I actually kind of like it. I mean, it's not really like the Zerg player is going to waste time on that third command center. Going to be going right for the jugular, but like you said, a very well set up defense over here from SpeCial. Even dodges out of the way the corrosive biles with the SCVs, keeps the repairer going, and Erik is even target burning down an empty bunker during all of this. Paulo, oh no, this is kind of becoming a bit of a disaster.
I mean, that feel when you can't kill the empty bunker out of the 3, with your all-in, that just can't be good. There's 10 workers in production for Erik, but I mean, that's just not gonna work against SpeCial, right? He had similar games where he started off at a deficit against Kelesur, but I think SpeCial is not going to give him that breathing room. And this Banshee is lethal. 2 Banshees actually with Cloak crossing the map. Similar to what Kelesur did with his 1 Banshee on the counter offense after the Baneling bust. Erik is so far away from a lair that, he needs perfectly positioned spores. And even then, the Banshees will have a field day killing exposed queens, transferring drones, and even links.
Well, Banshees come on forward and find a mineral line. Oh, yeah. There's nowhere to go, nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. But actually, same thing goes for these Hellions that immediately get surrounded, a little bit busy with the Banshee control. Finding at least a few workers, going to be able to deny the third. My God, those drones, they have a very long way to go before they escape to safety here.
Yeah, that was a really cool setup on the surround there from Erik to kill those Hellions and then get himself an even kill count on the workers there as the Banshee. So not too bad at all.
Yeah, oh man, if he'd been able to even get one of those Banshees, that would have been really, really helpful, just because then at least the Banshees, when they poke around, they're not one-shotting those drones. But looks like the Banshees are low enough on hit points, or at least one of them is, that they're going to both decide to back on off. Really, really critical damage there for Erik. I think he's still in a bad spot right now, but at least now, Paulo, I don't feel like he's sticking around in a game that I'm like, oh no, this every minute in this game is going to be worse for his mentality. I actually feel like he's given himself a minimum, a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, and these Banelings are some hopeful Banelings to try and get into that mineral line, but even if they did, that's going to be the least saturated mineral line, and you just killed some SCVs there, so that's going to mitigate the damage that Special could potentially take from them. So I'm not sure if it's the brightest call here to go for that particular Hail Mary if you're Erik, but at least his Baneling speed is about to finish, so maybe he can find something.
Okay, well, like you said, it's pretty tough to make connections with slow Banelings, but maybe it's just what he needs. Nope, the Siege Tank's there.
Yeah, I mean, he could have at least waited for the speed. The CC did get dangerously low there, but this is not looking too good. Special looking for little pickoffs here onto the Banelings. A cancel is forced on that hatchery, and things look amazing for Special, but we already knew that this is just getting from bad to worse.
When you have the Overseer there, but the Queens are not available anymore to actually go kill that Banshee. That's a hard blow.
Very sad. Not as hard as a blow as you could deliver with your martial arts.
I mean, oh god, losing one of the Banshees. Well, that is one win there. See, here's the thing, Paulo. You don't even know how good I am. I could be terrible. I said that I've done it for some 21 years. Like I could be actually the worst, right? I could. You have no idea.
You couldn't. No, I mean, no. If you've done it for 20-something years, I mean, you did say that you do it kind of on your own, but I imagine at some point someone was teaching you what to do, right?
Yeah. I'm doing it on my own, like right now, right?
Yeah.
This is COVID. I was doing it with other people, but here's the thing, Paulo. Counterpoint. I've been playing StarCraft for 21 years. I'm still pretty bad at that.
True, I guess. I mean, you're good at DTs, Ravi.
Debatable, but we are seeing that Erik is starting to just lose more and more over here as he loses even just a few of his remaining Banelings. He's got 12. The Muters are coming in. They're looking for a Siege Tank snipe. That actually would do quite a bit for him, at least being able to unentrench Special from this position. But there is a literal parade push of units coming across the map, and all of the Banelings are gone now, Paulo. 9 Banelings on the way, but even those are not having a safe haven.
The Overlords, suicidal Overlords. Now cruising towards the Marines. The poor guys. Yeah, that's so sad. All right, Ravi, ask me to guess which martial art you practice.
Paulo, which martial arts do I practice?
Let me think on that. I wasn't expecting the question.
Okay,
well, we're gonna go to a break. Yeah, and in between, everyone in the chat also tell us which martial art Ravi
It's not
practices.
just one though. There's a
how many?
I don't. It's like small amounts of some, so it's like hard to count them. I don't know, like 5 or 6.
So you're saying, I mean, so it's mixed martial arts. It's MMA.
It's not MMA. Guys, we'll see you in a little bit. Enjoy memeing about the chat for whatever we decide to meme about.
We are back. This is I'm sorry. I'm still collecting myself because the answers in the chat and outside of the chat were fantastic. One of these was provided by Calaris, but we have our answer as far as what people think is the martial art that Ravi practices, and these are my 4 favorites. Number 1 is the most serious answer of the 4, Krav Maga. Okay. Which is a bit of an insult to most martial artists, I feel like, right? Because it's like, it's the one where you like do what you have to do, you know? It's like the low blows and stuff in Krav Maga. You're not smiling. It makes me think that maybe Krav Maga is in there. Number 2 is Feng Shui. Feng Shui.
Which I guess the long-lived art of Feng Shui, where, you know, I look at your home and then I put it into disarray, and that does mental damage to you.
The next one from James himself was origami.
That one got me, actually. Yeah.
And maybe my personal favorite, Mortal Kombat, was the martial art. So why don't you just tell us outright, Ravi? I would have actually guessed something like judo, or maybe jiu-jitsu, like Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's a very reasonable guess. Spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we have the red Terran player now up 3-0 on the verge of yet another Grand Finals victory for the Latin American scene. He is Psystorm Gaming SpeCial.
And in the bottom right-hand side for Cranky Ducklings looking for a miracle now, it is Erik. He needs some Krav Maga in here.
He could absolutely use some low blows. What is the Krav Maga equivalent in StarCraft?
The series against Keleswar was pretty much it, right?
Yeah, I can't argue with that, actually.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy about this map, actually? This is not the case on most natural expansions, but this natural expansion is so big on this map that you can, I think, maybe proxy a natural expansion that's out of vision range. Oh, sorry, you can proxy a hatchery or something that's out of vision range of the command center, I think, in the far corner of your natural.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, I suppose you could do that. That would be pretty cool, actually.
I think it'd be pretty terrible, but it'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. Does the drone transferring to the natural, or does the SCV transferring to the natural spot it? Maybe not.
I don't actually know. I don't.
It would be very close in any case. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I mean, the wall at the top absolutely would spot it. So
yeah,
that would be a problem.
That is right. Yeah, that's true. But it might be too late by then. I mean, depending on where the first supply depot is placed. So this might be something that I try on my ladder games, Ravi, just for the sake of science. In the meanwhile, we have to see what happens here, as this Reaper getting dangerously close will get pushed out of the base of Erik.
Yeah. Keeps it alive, though. SpeCial's going to be able to scout out and see. All right, confirmed a third base, which is oftentimes a bit of a given for a lot of Terran players to just kind of assume it. But with Erik and the way he's been playing today, it is not necessarily a given. But SpeCial's going to feel confident after spotting it. Has his third CC on the way, and at least knows it's not going to be any kind of 2-base all-in shenanigans.
Yes, indeed. Instead, it's going to be a 3-base on the side of SpeCial at least. So he's going to be happy knowing that it isn't a 2-base either for Erik, because yeah, he went for a very greedy opening once again, something that Kelesor seemed a little bit more hesitant to do. But I mean, if you're in SpeCial's position at this point, you've held the all-ins, you've held the aggression, and you've done it so comfortably and so seamlessly that yeah, I think you just get away with murder here.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be really, really tough to make this work. There are no more second chances allowed for Erik. He's going to win 4 games in a row. I mean, I think you at least after this kind of run, you've had an amazing run. You've been able to best Kelazor in that last series. This is definitely one of the biggest performances, I think, for Erik thus far. You would love to at least be able to say, like, hey, look, like, I prevented a 4-0 in the grand finals versus someone as good as SpeCial. I really hope that we can see Erik kind of bust something out in this game. He's got that Roach Warren on the way. He's doing a good job of, you know, using this map terrain, I would say, to actually push back these Hellions. It's you kind of cut off this one choke point. It's actually pretty hard for the Hellions to get in.
Yeah, but I think that when we start contemplating the possibility of Erik bragging about taking a game, it really paints the real picture of what's going on in these grand finals, right? Because because it's just not looking that great. He is gonna snipe a creep tumor, and I mean, he could definitely write stories home about that one.
That is, I mean, it is a grim reality right now. Like, this is the situation we're in, but I really think SpeCial is just that good of a player, and well, he's gonna find little opportunities like this where he's already been able to pick off quite a few of these workers, or at least start picking some of them off, and most of these Hellions still alive. A lot of them getting very low. Queen in the main base actually put in some critical damage, but more drones getting roasted in the main.
Yeah, 3 is all you need. So, a lineup of Hellions, a lineup of drones will net him a few more to 12 is gonna be the final tally there. Not too bad from SpeCial.
I mean, yeah, it's I think not too bad for SpeCial. I think he's probably going to be pretty happy with how it went. It is at least at an absolute minimum, and economies don't actually work quite this way, guys, but 600 minerals of Hellions for basically 600 minerals of drones. Is that right? I think so.
Just about, yeah. The thing is Terran usually can't produce, Terran can't produce as many workers as Zerg. So Zerg innately has the economic advantage over the other two races, and Terran has usually the unit lead. Like, their army is a little bit more microable, it's a little bit more powerful given equal circumstances up until a certain point, right? Like, there's obviously equalizers like lurkers later in the game, but Terran should be pretty happy with those even-ish sort of trades. So and I mean, he's getting even more with these Banshees.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, exactly what you were saying, the economies don't exactly work out quite that simply, but it doesn't quite get the Banshee pick off that. Again, would have been nice. We've seen these Banshees be able to have a lot of value, even in the later stages, especially if you are just on a pure Roach composition. As I don't know that we've seen too many games from Erik today that have gotten to, stage past the Roaches.
Yes, indeed. I do like that Erik is going for the Roaches, and SpeCial did take that triangle third. So maybe if Erik looks to hit that 1-1 timing, much like Rogue did, he could stand a chance. However, he's adding an infestation pit, and I'm not a huge fan of diversifying your investments at all here. I think you just should put all the eggs in one basket. I think you should start breaking those rocks. If you've watched those GSL finals, you know that this is a very difficult hold for Terran. And Niall knows exactly which rocks we're talking about.
Yes, he does. Well, we end up having a submarine very oddly positioned up here.
Oh, this is perfect. I mean, finally, we are going to see the strategy that I've been calling for on this map since I watched the GSL finals. Will it be enough? I don't know. I mean, there's pathogen glands being researched, so again, not quite the same punch that Rogue or Ravi, for that matter, would be packing here. These medevacs are trying to do a little bit of damage and try to scout things. I mean, they're gonna see this many Roach Ravager, and SpeCial has to be cautious here. But again, his position at the third, not the easiest one to defend.
Yeah, let me ask you something, Castle. On this map, is it even considered a queen pull, or is it just defending a little bit more forwardly your base?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, like with the creep spread as we have it, and the forward hatchery from the Zerg, which is not necessarily the most characteristic thing, you could definitely go for a queen pull along this. Now, SpeCial is doing something that Maru didn't do, that is actually accounting for what Rogue did a little bit better than Maru was, because he's building a lot of his supply depots at the front, which might seem like a liability, but just making it so that the pathing of those Roaches is interrupted to get to the tanks is pretty good business.
Right, we'll see if he can start to make something happen. The Banshee's actually looking for opportunity to come forward yet again to that mineral line. Not going to find it. I like the idea there from SpeCial to say, okay, well, if I know that you're trying to come at me with a bunch of these Roaches and try and make something happen, well, a really great way to prevent it is to at least keep you a bit distracted. Make sure that you're also paying attention to your economy. And now SpeCial is actually going to start moving forward with a very large army. Siege tanks unsieged though, and the massive fungal growth. Oh my God, get a medic cast.
Wow. This was, I mean, as good as Erik could have hoped for. But SpeCial still punching through.
No.
And it really goes to show just how big of a macro monster SpeCial is. Because, I mean, yeah, he did a little bit of damage early on, but nowhere near enough to justify taking that much damage to start the fight. And still, being able to push on through, and as confidently as he is, I mean, he hasn't stopped at all. It's looking Rabbi like we will have that quick 4-0.
Cats, it's brutal. The man, the myth, the legend, Juanito, able to get into possibly the worst situation of Fungals in the slow zones, and still just so damn strong that he makes it work anyways. There's a reason why this man has been the king of Latin America for a very, very long time. He says, Kelazur didn't make it. That's okay. I can knock down any challenger, and it's exactly what he's doing, Cats.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's playing from Korea with a ping disadvantage, and this was still a very one-sided finals. I think that Erik doesn't beat Kelazur very often if we put him up against each other again, you know, like today or tomorrow. But it is still awesome for Erik to get that victory against Kelazur and to make it to the grand finals in the first place and for the first time. I mean, Cham has been here before. Now we have a fourth player that can be at least considered a contender, and that's good to see because, you know, at the very least it'll net him some motivation for future events, I think. So yeah, forgive me for talking as if it was over, but it's pretty over.
Well, Cats, I mean, if you didn't talk about it like it was a little bit over, we'd be talking about the fact that 2-2 just got denied for Erik. I mean, I think the things that we can talk about are things that are not going super well. I do really love how many of these 6 city Fungals he's been able to land. And even with his bio all in the red, though, there's just not enough for Erik anymore. There it is. GG SpeCial is your Latin American champion yet again. And I love Cats, by the way.